So, the question is, why do I think Ivy is better, or why do I like her more, even though most people think that she's worse? Why do I prefer Ivy post-patch? I am a very different fighting game player than I was when I picked Ivy for the first time, right? When I picked Ivy for the first time, it was obviously when Soul Calibur 6 came out, November of 2018. And at that time, the only competitive experience that I had with fighting games was Pokken, right? And in Pokken, I played a character called Chandelure. Chandelure is a very weird and tricky and annoying character, and I liked Ivy because she seemed like she had a lot of the same tools, and she did, right? But the reason I enjoyed characters like that, right? Heavy, long-range zoning characters with a lot of annoying escape options. I was very unconfident in my ability to win against someone in a direct confrontation. Do you see what I mean? Like, my confidence in my real fighting game skill was very low. Obviously, that kind of mentality is kind of whack, right? Because any fighting game skill that wins you matches is real fighting game skill. I felt at the time like if I went up against a good player and fought them on even ground, so to speak, that there's a very low chance that I would win. Because of that, I really gravitated towards characters that did not need to have like direct confrontation in order to come out on top. So I liked characters that were fighting from really far away, because if they can't hit me, then I don't have to engage with them. I liked characters that had a lot of like annoying reversals, so that even if they did get close, I could try to weasel my way out. And if you like, Ivy has a ton of stuff like that, right? Things like her command grabs, Calamity Symphony 6-6A, that spirally attack. When the game launched, she had her super, which GI'd everything, remember? So even if they got close, it was still a really threatening option that you could just mash super and kill them. That's why I liked Ivy. But, like I said, I am not that person, that fighting game player that I was. Over the last couple years, it's been, what, a year and a half? Almost 2 years since I've started playing Soul Calibur. I've grown a lot as a fighting game player, both through playing Soul Calibur and especially through playing Mortal Kombat and Grand Blue, which are very neutral-heavy games. I feel way more confident in my neutral and my fighting game fundamentals, which is a buzzword that gets thrown out constantly, even though I'm not sure if many people know what it means. I don't even know if I know what it means. But I do feel like I'm just a much better fighting game player. More solid, you could say, right? I think I'm more patient. I think my focus is better. I think I have a stronger mentality and I make better strategies. Obviously, I still have a lot to work on, and there are definitely some things in fighting games that I'm still very lacking in, right? But I think overall as a fighting game player, I'm much stronger than I was, which, I mean, you would hope, right? I've been playing fighting games constantly from then until now, so you would hope that I've gotten better at them. But because of that, Ivy has sort of started to grow apart from me a little bit. Do you see what I mean? Because she doesn't really have the tools to play that direct, face-to-face neutral game that I have grown more and more comfortable with. Which is why I picked her, right? Like, I picked her in the first place because she is like a barrel of tricks. You know what I mean? But the same reason I liked her in the first place is the reason that I was starting to sort of grow apart from her, right? And as more and more time went on, and I increasingly wanted to play that kind of solid game, the more Ivy just didn't really give me what I was looking for in a fighting game character. You see what I mean? Which is probably one of the reasons why I have been playing less Soul Calibur over the last few months, right? Is because Ivy is the only character that I have like ever played in this game, so I didn't really want to play another one. But also, she wasn't like I didn't want to like admit it, you know, and I don't think I even realized it. But as I grew and changed as a player, she just wasn't like the perfect fit for me in the way that she used to be. You know what I mean? But in this new patch, what they basically did is they nerfed all of Ivy's tricky stuff, and they buffed her more solid stuff, right? They gave her tools to let her play a much more compact, reserved game, while nerfing the stuff that's like dumb, right? Like the stuff that's non-interactive, you could say, like the wall rising B plus K Christmas tree, right? And the 4-4B that you could just kind of mash and hope that you got a 100 damage lethal hit when your opponent got in on you. And the 6-6A, which they've nerfed for like the third time, right? Because that move is also, it's a perfect example of a move that you just throw out and you don't really care what your opponent's doing. Calamity Symphony, right? Obviously, I don't think anyone needs to be explained why CS is kind of dumb. The 16 frame command grab that has a ton of range. It does like a third of your life bar. So all that stuff got nerfed. And then on the other end, stuff like her 6B, right? Just her hua hua, you know, just a solid mid poke got buffed. Her regular BB got buffed to be less bad. Her A4, her nice low risk horizontal swipe got buffed, right? All of these just regular neutral tools, all of these just regular solid neutral tools, right? All got buffed from her toolset. So it feels to me almost like Ivy has like grown up along with me. Do you see what I mean? Like before it almost felt like I was maturing and sort of like leaving Ivy behind, right? But with these new changes, it feels like she's sort of like matured along with me, and she's now a much more like reasonable Soul Calibur character that can just play a normal, solid, you know, poke with mids, catch steps with horizontals, grab if they're blocking, right? Like Soul Calibur, regular Soul Calibur with no tricks, which I'm finding more and more that I really want to do. That's not to say that I don't want to zone anymore, because I definitely do. It's just that I want to zone in a more interactive way. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm actually like responding to my opponent's movements and paying attention to them, instead of just setting up a wall of garbage and hoping that they don't get past it. Right? Just like covering my eyes and being like, nah! Which is sort of what I used to do, because I believed that like that was my only way to win, because I thought that if I actually, you know, stood up and conflicted with them, I would lose. But I don't feel that way anymore. So that's why I really am super pleased with the Ivy changes, and why, for me, I think she's better. Or at least much more suited to my current playstyle than she was before. You play zoners at MK2? Not really. I mean, I do play Scarlet, and Scarlet is a zoner, but she's what I'm talking about. She's an interactive zoner, right? If you watch me play Scarlet, I'm not just standing full screen and just throwing things over and over and over again, right? Scarlet is all about footsies, right? She's, I think, like the best footsies character in the game. The projectiles are a supplement. They are not the core of the character, right? Scarlet is not a zoner with like really good projectiles and really bad normals. She's a zoner with really good normals and projectiles to make the normals better. In the same way that you could say that about Dhalsim in Street Fighter V, right? Like Dhalsim has the fireball, the arcing fireball, right? But he's not going to win by throwing that at you over and over again, right? He has his limbs that he pokes you with, and he moves and he hits you, right, in neutral. And the fireball supplements that, right? It stops people from zoning him out. It sets up for pressure. It can be used as Oki, but it is not the backbone of his neutral, right? Scarlet is the same way. And now Ivy is the same way, because she still has her long-range moves, and they can still definitely get some hits in, but they are not the core of the experience, right? And if you try to treat them like the core, then you will suffer, right? If those moves are the moves that you use the most with Ivy, and you keep using them as like the center of her game plan, then I do think you will find your character to have been nerfed. But if you treat them as like secondary supplements and trust yourself to be, solid, then I think she's in a really good spot.